and welcome back to my channel. Now before we get into today's tutorial, I'd like to send a quick reminder about my membership program that I've recently enabled. There are 3 different levels that I offer and you can get exclusive content and other perks with one of them. So if you've not had a chance to take a look at that, please click this link and it will take you to the video that tells you about it all. So with today's tutorial, I'm not going to tell you anything about the flower that we're going to make. Instead, I'm going to keep it a little bit of a secret, and you'll find out once I start making the flower. But I'd like to say I thoroughly enjoyed and loved sharing this tutorial with you guys. So I'm 100% sure you guys will enjoy it and love it as much as I did making this for you. It's absolutely amazing. It's my favourite flower till date that I've made. So without further ado, let's dive right into the video. If you'd like to see more videos, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button or that bell button to receive updates whenever I upload a brand new video. So guys, to make this beautiful heart-shaped sort of a spiral center, you need some icing. If you don't have a recipe, the recipe from my gum paste is on your screens now. You'll need a small rolling pin. You'll need one of these sort of pen tools, which also works great as a small rolling pin should you not have a big one. So this is absolutely brilliant to have. Some sugar glue. Again, if you don't have some sugar glue, you can make your own with some Tylose powder and water. My recipe is going to be on your screens now. And over here, I've just got 3 sized petal cutters. And I might be using all 3, but I'm just going to show you that you can use all 3 just in case, or you can just stick to the one size. That's personal preference. You may or may not need some scissors and a Dresden tool. You also need something to hang your flower on. And in this case, I'm using a blue foam pad and a bud that I've already got ready. And if you don't know how to do that, then the tutorial for my full rose, which is a step-by-step from start to finish, that's on your screens now as well. So let's begin. I'm just going to be using some red gum paste because I've already got it pre-dyed. And I've got quite a lot of it, as you can see. And it's a little bit oily because I've added a lot of Trex into this to make it really pliable, because I tend to keep it for a few weeks, months even. And I just like it pliable, so every time I use it, and I just put some more Trex back into it and leave it there, and if you want to go ahead and use it again, you can do, because as you'll notice as you use it, once you keep working with it, you take away all its moisture. So adding a bit of Trex every time you use it just puts that moisture back in for the paste to stay pliable. If not, it will go rock solid and then you won't be able to use it again. So that's a great tip. So if you're using your gum paste very often, then before putting it back into your bag, just add a bit of Trex in there just to restore its moisture, and it will be nice and pliable for you to use next time. So first things first, we're going to start adding our petals to our bud. For which all I'm going to do is take a little bit of gum paste. And I'm just going to cut out one little petal just to cover the top bit of the bud. Just so when you go to add in the petals, the proper petals, to make the centre, you're not seeing any of that white section. And you don't need that much for this, you just need a little bit. And because mine's really sticky, I'm going to go ahead and use some corn flour. Again, you can use this as well if yours is too sticky. Pop it through your pasta machine and just cut out just one petal of any size, and we'll just put this back in just in case we need to work with it later. And all we're going to do is just going to make the petal a little bit bigger. Just like you usually would, but we're going to make it bigger from all parts of the petal. So we're not just stretching it to make it long, we're going to just make it a little bit bigger all the way around. the main purpose of this is just to cover the bud. So with your sugar glue and your brush, just cover the whole bit. And all we're going to do is just pop that on top. It's a little big, just snip it and overlap, because you're not going to see this bit at all, so it doesn't matter if it's not perfect. The idea is just to cover the white bit. Just like that. Just like so. And then the next bit is pretty simple once you've got the hang of it. Over here I've already cut out my petals that I'll be using. Some of the petals that I'll be using anyway, and I've just cut out the one size at the moment, which is this size, the one that we've just used to cover the bud. And all we're going to do to this is you're going to get around 5 petals for one side, and we're just going to stretch it to make it long and thin it out as well. And then we're going to leave it to air dry for a couple of minutes, just to let it get a little bit stiff. So it's flexible, but it's not fully hardened. So I just want it enough so it's able to hold its shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do all 5 and just place it on my foam pad here, because if it's on a marble board or a silicone mat, then it'll still stay soft, whereas if it's on a cushion sort of a base, it will dry up a little bit quicker. So once you've got all the 5 petals sorted, all we're going to do is we're going to place them on top of each other, more or less at the same height, and we're not going to glue them down at all. So I'll put them all together. So all 4 of them are together. We are just going to flip it over just like that, and we're going to put one, the last one, which is going to be slightly underneath. So just like that. You need to get this part right and make sure you get that, so when you have it folded, this bit is outwards, so, and it's coming up in the middle. And then we're just going to fold it, and we're going to fold it in a line with the top edge of the petal. And we're just going to fold it, and you'll notice that it'll take you diagonally when you're rolling. And we don't want to roll it completely, we're just going to do 1 or 2 rolls, and then we're just going to lift it up, and you should have something like that in the middle. And we'll work on gluing this down. When you glue this down, you want to take it to the top and keep your finger there positioned just before you glue it, and we're going to bring it across like so, and we're then going to position the petals with either the Dresden tool, the scalpel, or a cocktail stick, and we're just going to open it up a little bit. So the inner petals you just want to open up. just so you can tell that each petal is separated. So you don't want it two together. So just loosen them up a little bit from the bottom. Just like so, and just pull them back a little bit, but make sure you have enough room to sort of maneuver them and move them about. So you don't want to go too tight when putting these together. And you definitely don't want to glue it either. It would be better if you would add some cauliflower in there, just like I have had to now, because my red was a bit too sticky and the petals were just sticking to each other. So add some cornflour in between the petals. That would be great, because then they won't stick to each other and you'll get a nice sort of positioning of the petals where they won't be too tight, not too loose, and they'll be just like the natural. So once you've got something like this, we're just gonna glue down the bottom bit of the outside petal just to stop it from moving. But I don't want to glue it too tight, so I want that little bit of a gap there like it is. And we're just gonna glue the inner section of these petals down as well, just so they're not moving. And if you want them tighter, then just bring it down. If you want them looser, just pull it up a little bit, like that. So I want the first petal a little bit tight, so I'm going to pull that down a little bit. And then I'm just going to glue them just as they're coming in, like that. So there's a little bit of gap in between, because I want it to just flow naturally. And I'm only gluing down the bottoms, not the tops. And again with this, if this hasn't stuck down with the pressure that you've added, then just stick it down as normal, and then you can glue the rest of it down from the base. But you really want to make sure that they are stuck. So if you need to just snip it, just overlap it, then do that as well. This is going to turn out so beautiful. This is how it should be when you've added this set of petals. Now onto the other side, for which you're going to use 7 petals. I'm going to get them ready just as I did with these ones, and then I'll come back and show you how to add them on. So guys, once you've done the 7 petals for the other side, we need to add some cornstarch in between the petals so they don't stick. So just a little bit, and you want to layer them up exactly as we did earlier, but this time you want to layer all 7. And with the previous lot, we layered them from the left side with the pointed edge towards the top, and this time we're going to layer the right side with the pointed edge towards the top. So you've got to make sure you get this part right. Don't dip it in the glue like I was just about to do so. And you want a little bits of gap in between them, whether you want them a little bit higher or whether you want them a little bit below. You can choose, but you really want a tiny bit of gap. So once you've done that, we're going to fold just as we did earlier, and don't fold it too tight. You want it a little bit loose, just so you can open the petals up And again, you're gonna follow the right hand side edge of the petal, so you should have something like that. And we're then gonna go ahead, and before we added it to the right hand side and it was going clockwise, now the hoop is going anti-clockwise, and we're just gonna attach it next to the other side here. So you'll end up with something like that once you've added it. So go ahead and just stick that down just exactly how it is, and then we can loosen them up and open them up a little bit more later once it's all secure. And once you finish the center, you should have something similar to this. And I've just cleaned up the bottom bit a little bit. I've just taken a scalpel and I've just trimmed it all the way from the bottom just to give it a nice clean edge. And with the center, you don't need to add as many petals as I've done. You can even do this with 2 or 3 petals, but this is just to make it look really realistic. And again, it was an image that I saw whilst I was browsing on Google, and I'm like, you know what, we've got to make this. So once again, the inspiration for this flower has come from Google, and this is just called a spiraled heart center rose. So now we're just going to leave this to dry until it's a bit more stable and the petals are not as flexible as they are now. Whilst we're waiting for this to dry, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add 3 petals, the same size that we were using previously, and we're just going to make them bigger, exactly how we were doing earlier, and we're just going to cover the little bits on the edges of the petals just to add our support petals. And this is the reason why I'm choosing to make them bigger with this tool rather than doing it with a rolling pin or a ball tool. And again, because they're really sticky and really soft, I'm just going to put them on my foam pad. But whilst we're waiting for that to dry, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut out some more petals. Again, I'm only going to be using the one size for all, but you can use different sizes if you want. And for this sort of a rose, I'm not going to be using the ball tool. I'm just going to be making it bigger like we did with the previous rose, and I'm going to be using the Dresden tool, and I'll show you that in a second. So go ahead and just cut out all your petals, and once you have them dried, then we're just going to go ahead and glue the bottoms left and right sections. We're going to add our first petal here, and you want to add it slightly above or at the same height, just so it blends in. And stretch it to bring it down. Then what we're going to do is we're just going to open it up from the top just a tiny bit, just so there's a gap again. And then we're going to do the same for our next one. We're going to overlap that by a half and add our next petal. And if you need to, just go ahead and snip that off. just so you get a clean edge. And again, we're just going to open that up as well. And you don't want it too tight, so loosen it up by pushing the edge back a little bit, and that'll give you a little bit of a loose top. And then our final one, you can overlap it. You can pull the first one back and put it underneath, or you can just overlap it, as I am going to do. And I'm going to bring this slightly down and just bend the top bit of this petal only. Just a tiny bit. So you should have something like this. Again, loosen it up. You can have this bit bent as well, should you want. So don't curve it in completely, is what I mean, and just bend it a little bit back. And only a tiny bit as well, just a tiny bit. Just like that. And then just open it more. And that's what you should have once you've added the supporting petals. And now our next row is going to be of 4 petals, exactly the same way as we've done with this. I'm just going to curl the edges in just little bits. So all you're doing is bringing it towards the edge and just curling it in. Just like that. And we're going to do that for all 4 petals. And then again, I'm going to leave it to set so they're able to have a bit more stability. So again, once they're dried, then coat the bottom left and right side. And we're just going to go over the joins of the previous row, and we're going to add it to the same height, and we're going to add the curved edge facing outwards. Add the next one. You don't always need an apple tray to get that cup shape. If you leave them long enough on your foam pad, you could get that just as easily. And then our last petal, I'm just going to pull that first one back and just add the last one in, overlapping by a half, and then just pull that one back as well. And what I'm then going to do is, just with my cocktail stick, I'm going to open them up a little more. So we're going to go ahead and do our next row of 5 petals. And we're going to do exactly the same thing as we've done with this one. And then we'll come back and add them on as well. But you should have something like this once this row is finished. I'm going to add this on a join at the same height, or maybe slightly below, but not above it. And then I'm just going to bend that backwards a little more, just like that. and then overlap by a half. And then just turn it upside down and make sure they're all nice and tightly secured. You want to make sure they're all glued down properly. You can start opening them up a little more. So bend, just to make them flowing naturally. But again, if they're a bit too soft, like mine are, then you want to just leave it upside down for a short while, just until they're able to hold themselves properly, without falling off, that is. And you should end up with something like this once you've done this row. So again, hang it upside down for a short while, and whilst this is drying, we'll go ahead and prepare our next row of 7 petals. So I've had this hanging upside down for a short while, and we're just going to go ahead and add our last row, again at the same height. Once you've got all 7, turn it upside down and make sure it is completely secure, and then just hold it upright and see if it's able to hold itself. If not, keep it upside down, but make sure they're all glued on. If you need a bit of extra glue, go ahead and add that just to the edges. And then we're going to just fold them back a bit more, just as normal, like we did with the previous row. But again, if this really soft like mine, then I'm just going to hang it upside down for a short while, just until the stability is a bit more on the petals. Are you ready? Just look at them. Wow, just wow. I'm super impressed with these. I absolutely love how they turned out, but just look at the little heart. How cute is that? It actually looks like a little heart. I'm just gonna pick the one I made on video and show you guys up close. Look at that. Super cool and super cute. These flowers like these would go perfectly on Valentine's cakes. Oh, but how cute is that? This is so cute, and I'm so in love with this one. So guys, on this cute little tutorial, this video has come to an end. I really hope you've enjoyed this video, guys, because this is my favorite video and flower that I've made till date. I absolutely love these roses, how they came out. They're absolutely so cute, aren't they? But yes, I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, smash that like button, say a quick hello in the comment section, and tell me where you are watching me from. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you already haven't done so, and click that bell icon and turn on all notifications so you never miss our weekly uploads. I'll be back next week with a brand new one. Bye guys!